Hello, I'm making 3 assumptions for this video, this homemade potato grow kit video. And the first assumption is that you've got some store-bought potatoes. You've already got those. The second assumption is you've got a suitable bucket or plant pot. You've already got it. And the third assumption is you've got some garden soil. And if you haven't got garden soil, then you can go out into the environment to collect some. I'm going to cut you to some video now that I shot this morning when I took the dogs for a walk. Before it started to rain, I collected some soil from a molehill. Check this out, then come back to me. Okay, so we've got the soil. That's how I got it. I could have got it from the garden, but I thought I'd show you a clip of me collecting some molehill soil and tell you that if it's on public land, if it's a park, if it's a footpath, if it's a roadside verge, if it's a sports field, you're probably fine just taking it. Perhaps a farmer wouldn't like you going in his field to take it, but there's lots of land out there with lots of molehills on it, and what you're actually doing is recycling that soil. So yeah, I'd encourage you to just go and get it. Or soil from your garden. Use soil from your garden. Shall we have a look at these potatoes? Oh, before I do that, let me explain this. This is a 7-station heated windowsill propagator. It ain't plugged in. I'm just using it for convenience. I haven't started my tomatoes off yet, and I will do that, and I will do that in this propagator, and I will plug it in, there will be heat on. But for the moment I'm just using it for convenience to stand these store-bought potatoes in a bright space. Now I had these about 3 months, 2 of which were probably spent in the fridge. And the last month I brought them out to where you see them today, to give them a bit more warmth and definitely more light. No light in the fridge, not with the door closed, there isn't. And the temperature in here will range from cold at night to cool as the day warms up to warm, but it never gets hot. And these are my potatoes. Let me just run through the collection with you. This is Rooster, a Redskin. I've grown Rooster before. This is Tyson. I've grown Tyson before. This is Buttergold. I've never grown Buttergold before. That's a new one for me. This is Maris Piper. Very popular in the United Kingdom, Maris Piper. I've grown Maris Piper before. This is Yellow Queen. I've never grown Yellow Queen before. This is Nemo with the red and white skin. I've grown Nemo before. It's a great potato. Great potato to grow in a container. Nemo, I would definitely recommend that potato. And this is Eland. And I've never grown Eland before. As you can see, it's quite green. Now what I'm going to suggest is that at the end of this video you have a look, see if you've got any potatoes at home at the moment. If they're green, don't worry, they'll grow. If they've thrown up with chit, even better still. But what you need to do is get them now, get them out onto a windowsill and start them chitting. And perhaps in a month's time you'll be planting them. So these are my potatoes. Now then, what have they got in common? There's a variety here, but what have they got in common? They're all chitted, and they're all chitted because I've had them quite a while and I've chitted them. But the other thing they've got in common, they're all shop bought. All shop bought potatoes, every single one has thrown up a chit. So when you come across those videos that tell you that you can't grow shop bought potatoes, that they spray something on them, some growth retardant, some chit suppressant, hey, what do you think? Growth retardant, chit suppressant, well, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked if they've sprayed anything on these potatoes. So how do I get these potatoes? Well, let me show you this. They usually come in a bag like this. Yeah, they come in a bag. And initially they look like this. Let me get one out. Yeah, they look like that. They're a washed potato. These potatoes are meant to be eaten. Most of what I bought have been eaten. Some have been set aside and chitted. You can do it. I've done it year on year. And furthermore, what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to clip on the end of it from previous year's growing shop bought potato being turned out. I think it was Charlotte. It was a shop bought potato. And that will give you an idea of what's possible growing just a single potato in a small container. Now let me show you my containers. There it is. It's just a water bucket, an ex-cut flower water bucket. I must have had some of these buckets now for 10 years and it probably only cost me at the time about 10 pence. Shops that were selling cut flowers were selling these off in bundles, and I bought bundles of them and produced some holes in the bottom. Don't know if you can see the holes. Drainage holes. So this is what I'll be using. I'll be using these potatoes, I'll be using these buckets, and I'll be using soil from molehills. So the soil cost me nothing, these buckets cost me nothing, these potatoes cost me nothing. I've got everything I need for a free homemade potato grow kit. Right, we've had enough of that. I think that rain's just about stopped. I'm not too sure, I'll need to check. But if it has, what we're going to do now is we're going outside and I'm going to plant up one of these shop bought potatoes. They're not organic, they don't need to be. If you've got organic, fine, you can grow them. They're not farmers market potatoes, they don't need to be. If you've got them, fine, you can grow them. They're not seed potatoes. If you've got them, fine, you can grow them. These are just off the shelf, shop bought potatoes. These were meant to be eaten. I've eaten most of them, and these are some I've just set aside. You can do the same. You can do the same. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, we'll go outside, as I've said, if that rain's eased off, we're going to plant up a potato, and it's so simple. Just in case I forget to tell you when I get out there, I'll tell you now. We're going to put 2 inches of that molehill soil in the bottom of here. We're going to choose a potato and sit it on it. We're then going to top off the bucket with the molehill soil. I'm not using any fertiliser for this. If you've got some, you can throw it in. If you've got some, you can throw it in. If you haven't, don't worry about it. Then this will just stand outside for several months. We'll get a potato plant, we'll harvest it. Right, let's see how this weather's doing. Come on, let's go. Okay, it stopped raining. We've got everything we need. That's our bucket of molehill soil. That's our shop bought set aside. Nemo, as you can see, Nemo's chitted up. That's the ticket that tells us molehill soil, no fertiliser. And I hope you can see this, but that's got 2 inches of molehill soil sat in the bottom. We're simply going to sit this set aside shop bought potato on that, like this. And then we're going to top this bucket off. Hey, couldn't be easier, could it? Okay, I'm going to give this a go. You haven't made your mind up? Right, stay till the end of this video. There's a potato reveal right after we get finished doing this job, and that might change your mind. You might be thinking at this point in time, is it worth it? What am I likely to get out of a small bucket like that? Well, you might be surprised, but seeing's believing. So if you hang about till I get this topped off, and I'll cut you to that potato reveal that I promised earlier, Charlotte. Single set aside potato in a 10-inch ex-cut flower water bucket, not much bigger than the domestic water bucket. In fact, probably the same size as the domestic water bucket. Okay, and just to give you a bit of perspective on this, I can span 9 inches. That bucket's about 10 inches across, and it's about 10 inches deep. Okay, so there's a ticket going in. Nemo's up and running. We'll be turning this thing out in 3 or 4 months hopefully, and harvesting our own homegrown potatoes. Enjoy the rest of the video. Hello, today I'm going to be taking a bucket of potatoes called Charlotte store-bought potatoes. Well, this looks to be the heaviest I've had all year. This looks to be the biggest return I've had all year from these 10-inch water buckets. We'll pop these in here, I'll go and get the scales, we'll do a weigh-in. Okay, let's see what we've got. Wow, 2 3/4 pound. I think the biggest I've had up to press so far this year has been 1.5 or 1 3/4. So this is certainly raised the bar. Let me just check this. Wow. 2 3/4 pound. I think the best I'd done so far this year from these 10-inch water buckets was about £1.5, £1.75. So this delivery of Charlotte has certainly raised the bar, hasn't it? Hey, we're happy with this. We're definitely happy with this. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.